Thermomix Adventures. My name is Lisa Keegan and we are in fermenting week this week, which is one of my most favorite things to use my Thermomix to do. We've been fermenting things, as you guys know, that have been following along for a while now. We've been fermenting for years, primarily kombucha and sauerkraut, more recently kvass, and then cheeses and things like that as well. So I'm excited today to try actually something completely new to us. Now it is very similar to some of the cheeses that I cover in my cheese course. So if you want information about my cheese course, you can check that out up that way. But this is different again, which makes me really excited. So this is a walnut fresh cheese, and then they've got the bread. I'm not going to do the bread. As much as fermenting is in bread, I'm going to leave that for another season, another time. But I'm excited to do this fermenting of the cheese with two ingredients. One being whole milk and one being sour cream. I suspect that this will be somewhere between a creme fraiche and a fromage blanc, which is part of my cheese course. I suspect that's what we're aiming for at the end, but only time will tell because I've actually not done this before. So let's get started in this recipe. First things first, you'll notice it's in the US. It's in ounces. That's okay. When you're thinking about shopping, multiply by 3, add a 0. So it's going to be about 1.5 litres, I think. Yeah, 1.5 litres. So I love the Thermomix though because we just match it. See how it's on 0? So we just go up to 53. So up it goes. And it says whole milk, so you can't use your skim and stuff because this actually relies on the fats of the milk to do the process of the thickening and things like that. So you need the fats in it. So there's the first part. Next, it's got some sour cream. So I did go and buy this. I think it needs proper sour cream. I don't think you can put in, you know how often, those of you who watch along, you know I'm great for shortcuts. Normally I would put in fresh cream with a squeeze of lemon juice or apple cider vinegar. In this case, I'm fairly certain we need the properties within the sour cream to be the culture that develops this cheese. Okay, so make the effort to get sour cream. Okay, 7 ounces. So again, 7 multiplied by 3 is 21, add a 0, 210 grams if you are approximating to work out what size to buy, which is what I had to do at the supermarket today. So in that goes. Oh, a little bit more, doesn't matter. And then we click on next, it's done. We put the lid on and it's actually now going to, is it going to blend first? No, it's got a 5-minute cook time at 105 degrees, speed 1. So we'll just spin that up and we will return in 5 minutes and go through the next step together. So you will need some water or a second bowl. I'm cheating, I'm going straight to a second bowl today. You're going to need your varoma. We're going to actually incubate this for 8 hours, I think it is, on top in the varoma. You'll need a nice clean jar or Pyrex or glass or ceramic dish to go in your varoma, and you need some water. So if you haven't got those things and you're cooking along to these videos, grab them now and we'll be back in a couple of minutes for the next step. So we'll see you soon. Okay, so it's done and we're going to continue on. So it's warmed that up, transferred to a ceramic glass dish that fits in the varoma. So got that sorted over here. So you can see I've got the same one I used for the shrub, and it fits nicely in there, leaving some of those vents open for the steam to circulate. When I say steam, it's really mild. So we're going to transfer this in. It's really interesting, and actually maybe it's because just trying to think why that is. Okay, what I can see inside is I can see the sour cream sitting on top. Now, as I may mention, I haven't made this before, so as you can see, I'm like, oh, quick. I feel like it needs to mix in. I feel like this is not going to work if that is in big chunks still sitting on top. Now this could come down to the temperature, your sour cream. Like, I don't know about you guys, but when I buy things like pure cream and sour cream, sometimes they're pouring consistency and sometimes they're scooping, like yogurt consistency. Today, this one was like solid, and so it's still floating in there solid. So before I put it in here and fail it, I'm going to mix it through. Okay, so I'm going to push the house key. I'm going to put it up to speed 4, where did that go? A gentle stir. No, it's not a gentle stir, it's a mix through. Give it 10 seconds. All right, Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back and have a look-see back at the recipe. So what the last step did is it heated it up to about 55 degrees. So it started that warming process. And I thought it might actually take care of those lumps in there. But because it actually didn't cook it, it just went to 55. It's not like that's barely warm. Okay, but you know what? I'm happy now. I can't see any islands of sour cream in there. You'll know what I mean. If you look into your bowl when you're making this and you see islands floating, you'll know that you need to do that step. So now I should be right to pour this in. So I'll show you the pour. I can see there's a few little chunks in there still. I'm okay with like specks. It was when I had the big ones. All right, I'm not going to fit this all in. That's okay. Let's just ferment half of it. This is a 1 litre container. By the looks of it, something larger than 1 litre is required. But let's just put that aside. I will just do that in there, and I might have to grab a thermoset. Hang on, if it's clean. No, it's not clean. I will, off camera later, swap it into my white thermoserver. If you want to get your hands on one of these, host a demonstration if you live in Australia online with 2 friends, and you can get one of those for $50. So we'll just continue on though. Pretend we fitted it all in. Luckily I have a second bowl here ready to go for the next step. So cover with cling wrap, and in this case with the thermoserver, I'm going to actually put the lid on it. So see how it's got the clear lid? I'll put the lid on it. However, I had kept my Glad wrap from my pear shrub to use instead because I don't like using it once. And then we need 8.5 ounces of water. So that's about 250 grams of water into the bowl here, because this is going to be that warming time for the fermentation to happen. So you'll see this step come up in a minute. Lemon juice, you guys know my go-to instead of lemon juice is apple cider vinegar. By the way, it's about 30 grams. Doesn't really matter about that. You can see I'm a little bit light on, that's okay. Nothing, I don't really want to waste my apple cider vinegar. The very reason I don't use a lemon. So then on with the lid and set the varoma in place. So I will show you this. However, you know that off camera when we're done, I will clean up that one. I'll put a bit of hot water and vinegar in it because that makes sure it kills everything off. I'll rinse it super well, transfer this in, lid on, put it in the varoma, ready to go. So it will be like so. And let truth be known, I only rinsed the varoma after last time anyway, because it's only had that really low level steam through it anyway. There's no food on it. Secure the varoma lid, this piece. Just make sure you don't drip liquid in, although you will have a lid on yours. I don't have a lid on mine right now, or a piece of cling wrap. And then we've got, hope you can see, but it's 8 hours at the 150, which is our low level, our 80 degrees, and it just spin the dial and off it goes. It's going to hold it at that temperature for us for that period of time. And then we're going to come back, we're going to do some straining, we're going to put some walnuts in the bottom of it so that it comes out with this beautiful crusting of walnuts on it. So I will return in 8 hours time, which is tomorrow morning. So again, like last time, this will actually over ferment, which is perfectly fine. Okay, once something starts fermenting, it just sours further. It's not going to damage it. Be bold and be brave and give this a go. You will not regret giving this a go. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of something though, okay, before we continue on with this recipe. A little while ago, now the reason I want to give you a sneak peek is because I want to give you confidence. Now 6 weeks ago, I think it was, I showed you a Facebook Live of sharing how to make vinegar and it wasn't really in a Thermomix, it's just in a jar. Now talking about fermentation and confidence and stuff, my sultanas and my water have got more than just fermentation happening, and I want to give you some confidence. Okay, so I'm going to show you what's going on here, and I'm going to return later with the right equipment to tell you what I got to do. So at the moment it's got a film on the top, and it's not actually a pleasant looking film. It's got some grey mold and some blacky looking stuff happening, and it's okay because in fermentation world we scoop that off, we leave it continue, and it will actually not make us sick. It will not damage the liquid underneath. It is fully contained on the top, and I'm going to show you how shortly. So actually I'll come back in the 8 hours, which will actually be about 16 hours tomorrow. I'll come back and I'll show you how we deal with this without freaking out about it, okay? Because when it comes to mold and things like that, you know what? When our grandparents and their parents were fermenting and making things like sauerkraut and kombucha and vinegar, when they had mold, what did they do? Scooped it off and kept on going. And we can do that too. It is not unclean to do that. And I want to give you that confidence, okay? So I will return. I'm going to leave this as is. I'll come back with the right tools tomorrow when this is done to show you how we deal with the film of mold on the top of these. Anyway, guys, take care. And I will see you for this next step with the straining of this beautiful cheese tomorrow. So take care and I'll see you then. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you've had a fantastic last little while. Hey, look, this is fermented and it's fermented for a long time. It's been over 12 hours again, as much as it was supposed to be 8. As I've made mention, it will just continue to sour. And if I look in there, it looks like a curdled yogurt. Kind of is what it looks like in there. You can see it's a little bit chunky, a little bit watery, but kind of a bit jelly-like. It actually... you can see there it moves, but it's kind of stuck to the sides. It reminds me of jelly. So let's see what it says. It says to put the aroma aside. Now I have tipped out the water and I've got a brand new bowl actually, to be honest. And it says to place a small mixing bowl onto the lid. Now I'm going to skip this step, and what it actually does is it asks for walnuts, and it asks you then to cover the walnuts. This is in a bowl on top with some boiling water just to activate them. And then it says to continue with the recipe. I'm up the back here. We make breakfast circles every morning, and they've got, we activate our nuts. We then dehydrate them, which is almonds, walnuts, some seeds, so sunflower seeds, pepitas, cashews. We soak them in some salty water. We then dehydrate them and then we mill them down, and it becomes part of our breakfast circles. Now, we used to do it without activating it, but we're just trying to get rid of a rash at the moment that some of us have, and we're wondering if it's the nuts, which are really quite good for you but hard to break down in your system. So that's what we're doing. So I'm going to actually just use that as my coating on this beautiful cheese. So I'm going to skip the boiling water over walnut step, okay? I'm just going to skip that. I'm going to use what I've already got. Then it says to place a small bowl upside down into the bottom of a large bowl. Now this is where they got a little hazy, but I think I know where they're going. So I'm going to show you how I do this. Line a simmering basket with a cheesecloth. So I've got a washing up towel. No, what's that called? Hand drying towel. One that you dry the dishes with. It's actually a Thermomix one from the mix shop. I don't know that they're available anymore. I think they've changed the design. But it's fine. It's not as fine as my nut milk bag, but my nut milk bag is still in use. It's got the leftover pear stuff from yesterday, day before in there. So that's why I'm using what I've got, a tea towel. That's the word I'm after, a tea towel. So put that on top of, and what it says is get a big bowl, put a small bowl, and then sit this on top, okay, to keep it out of it. But better way to do this. And if you've watched me before, you'd know that this is what I do. So it goes like this, hoping I've got enough capacity in that bowl. Just move that forward so you can see a little better. Then we sit this on top. All right, so now we've created our very own funnel, okay? And then it says to drain the walnuts into the simmering basket. And then it says put the fermented milk into the simmering basket. So what we're doing here is we're going to put our nuts into here. We're then going to pour it over the top. And then we're going to let it do its thing. So some of these nuts are going to become part of the cheese, and some of it's going to coat the cheese. Now I'm just going to have to guess. It said 50 grams. That's 50, it said 5 ounces, which is 150 grams. So I'm just going to guesstimate how much that might be. Not too worried either way. Got a little more, a little less. I actually think you could do some amazing stuff here. You could do cranberries and apricots, and you could do so many things with this. Now the fun. And I try not to make a mess on video. So up with this. And let's see if we can get it in. Now, I'll see if I can show you the texture, because you can see it is over fermented, which is okay. I'm dripping a bit of water off there. But you'll see that there's the whey. And by the way, this recipe, see what I did there? This recipe actually also takes you through how to make whey bread with the leftover whey. Now, I'm not going to worry about the whey bread. I wanted to show you guys how to make your own cheese. And by the way, as I've made mention, if you want to learn how to make more cheeses, I have a cheese course that steps you through. There's an ebook, everything like that as well. I'm going to have to stop there, aren't I? Because it's going to overflow. Let me have a taste. It's delicious. It's milder than a yogurt. It doesn't have a tang of a yogurt. It's certainly more creamy than a yogurt. It's beautiful. Melly. cream cheese like. All right, beautiful. Now this has to drain. I hope this goes through my tea towel okay. It was kind of the only one I had available still. If not, I may have to go wash out that other one and use it. So, do we have anything draining yet? Slowly, very, very slowly. So, up with the corners. And we can press it or we can turn it. So, ideally, you probably don't want something as heavy as this. This is a little bit heavy, really, in hindsight. But, and I oozed some out the top. Of course I did. So this is going to take some time to drain. It does say to put a weight on it and leave it drain for 3 hours. I am thinking I might need to transfer it to something different. Okay, but I can also leave it. It is dripping through. I'll move this out the way. Space here. Just put that there. So can you guys see it's dripping through? Now, little tip, if you're going to walk away for 3 hours, your bag or whatever you're using here, which could just be a chucks, will leach water out if it's hanging down lower, and you'll end up with a puddle of whey here. So just as you turn it, put it on top, okay, or fold it on top if you really want to be neat. I'd love to get a little bit more liquid into mine until I do. I've only got probably another 100 ml in there because it'd be good to be able to get that all in, and then I can literally walk away for 3 hours, 4 hours, whenever I get back to it, kind of thing. I feel like that's not going to fit. All right, I'm not going to fuss around with that right now on camera. You get the idea, but what I will come back and do is I will show you once it's drained and when I'm going to remove it out of the cheesecloth. If this does play up too much and I can't drain it in here, then I will transfer it into my other one. I've just got to wash the other one, remove the pear, which I haven't dehydrated yet, and wash it up. So, but this is ideally, once you're fully filled in there with your Better Than Mine cheesecloth, you're going to tuck it over like that, tuck the corners in, and then put a weight on top. So it might be a small plate, it might be a cup full of, I was going to say water. If you put a cup in there, just make sure obviously that the contents are not going to fall over and leak. You don't want extra liquid already on here. But that's how we then allow this to get the whey out. If you want a way to use your whey, I'm doing a recording, love, just wait. Sorry about that. If you want a way to use your whey, there is the whey bread. You can use it in baking in the place of anything that calls for buttermilk or milk. You can use it in any recipe that even calls for water. It's lovely in soups and things like that. So I will come back once I've got all this in here. It's been pressed, it's sat for 3 hours, and I will just show you the turnout. And actually, I feel like it needs to then chill. Yeah, put it into the fridge to chill. And then refrigerate, and then I'll come back and actually show you the turning out of this beautiful cheese as well. So give this a go. If you've got questions, let me know. If you do find that your liquid coming out of here is super runny, like it's gone in like milk, it may not have fermented. You might have had a contamination issue with your bowl or the vessel it went into. Don't throw it out. Okay, use it as per buttermilk as well. Okay, but use it as quick as you can. I wouldn't want it sitting in your fridge for a couple of days. I would use it that afternoon or that evening within about 24 hours and use it in things. I made mention of yogurt the other day and how we can use that in yogurt cakes and making freezing it for later, putting it in things like that. So anything that's then going to cook it is a good thing to use. So otherwise, guys, I will return when this is ready to flip out. So I hope you're enjoying this series, and I can't wait to see you shortly when we get to that next stage. We'll see you soon. Okay, welcome back, guys. What I forgot amongst the chaos of trying to fit this in and it not straining fast enough was I promised today that I would show you about mold removal on your fermented products. Now, talked about the fact that really don't throw it away if it's moldy. Mold is part of the fermenting process. Yes, it can get nasty when it's growing up and you've got black cobwebs all through the top. It's gone too far. But when it's just a film on the top, scoop it off, put that in the compost, and keep going. All right, so we do that with our kombucha, we do it with our sauerkraut, we do it with our kvass. All right, and the thing is that mold, little bits of mold, not going to hurt you at all. Actually build good bacteria in your body. You're not going to scoop that off and eat it though. Okay, so when I say that, don't go eating your mold. But so when you've got mold like this, what do? You grab something you can scoop it out with, and you want to carefully take it off the top. You don't want to be tossing it around in there, so you do want to work carefully, and then you want a paper towel at the end to actually just clean up the edge of the glass. Now you're going to notice it's probably going to come off in a film if I can. Look at that, it's actually folding into a film where I can actually get underneath and predominantly lift the suspect pieces out. Look at that. So that's what you want to do. I'm sorry if you can't clearly see that. Now I can see on the back of there's a little bit of mold. I'm just going to wipe it on this paper towel because we're no longer going to need to actually ferment this. This is actually over fermented in all honesty. It needed about 30 days. We're up to about 6 weeks. So, which is also why the mold's there, because it's gone too far. Doesn't matter. It's going to actually have a lid on it. I want to be actually straining this in the next step. It's actually that time where we take that fruit out. You can use the fruit in something else by all means. It's not exactly the same, but it certainly can be used for cooking and things. Obviously not the green stuff. When I'm talking about the fruit, I'm talking about the stuff that's soggy in there, but not the stuff that's moldy. Throw that to the chickens or the compost bin, all right? So just, you'll notice which bits need to come out. And it does tend to stick together. That's the beauty of it. It's actually more like a film than anything else. But don't let that scare you. Don't let that stop you trying something. So now once we've done that, we've removed all the funky looking bits. I mean, I need to get rid of those sultanas anyway, but if I needed to ferment it longer, say yours molded up on the first week, second week, third week, before the 30-day mark, scoop it out. You need to get a paper towel then, or a clean washer, because what you'll find is there's a little residue around the side and it will just continue to grow on you otherwise. So we just put our finger in there, and it's not in the liquid, it's above the liquid because it's always up there in the air, and give it a good wipe round. Some people will use vinegar for this to take that film off. I don't worry too much. But it also is that thing of when I pour this out to strain it, I don't want to collect that little bit from around the sides, right? So my simmering basket is in use with my cheeses at the moment. So what I'm going to do is we do need to strain this before it goes on the pantry shelf to actually ferment until you want it. And that's completely up to you. If you leave it longer, it's a bit like a wine. It ages gracefully and amazingly. So yeah, you do want to put it in a sterilized jar though. So sterilizing is hugely important for anything you're preserving and putting on a shelf. You do want it to be sterilized, and we can sterilize in our aroma over steam. So I'll come back later when I've got a spare simmering basket and I'll show you how to strain that off. Jar it up, label it so you know what it is for later, and then you've got your own homemade vinegar. How cool is that? So we'll be back soon to show you the amazing cheese. It's reducing in size. I can probably squeeze in the last little bit now, so I can't wait to show you that once it is ready to turn out. So we'll see you again soon. Bye for now. Hello guys, welcome back. Hey, it's actually been overnight because, you know, life gets busy, and I'm going to now take this out. So just got a nice big bowl here that I'm going to present it on the table with, and let's unwrap it and see how it is. I tasted it yesterday and I told you it just tasted beautiful. It's not yogurty. Like if you don't like a tang of yogurt, it's not like that. It's very cream cheese like. So my nut milk bag, I'll just see if I can lift it out with that. Still quite a bit damp, surprisingly. Maybe I should have squeezed it further. Anyway, let's just see what we can do with this. I might put it on the table. I'm just going to try and peel it back without making too much of a mess. Probably easier if you're in your own kitchen, really, not in a room that's set up for that. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Even though it's soft or wet, it's a little bit damp still, it's beautiful. Look at that. All right, let's see if I can flip it over into the bowl without making too much mess. Oh, the nuts on the bottom look absolutely amazing. I can imagine doing that with something like apricots and almonds, and those sorts of things would look absolutely amazing. There's a few left over in there, which I reckon you could pat on if you wanted to. Got to clean up my fingers somehow. That's beautiful. It's got the beautiful little crunch of those. I mean, I didn't soak my walnuts, even though it's a walnut fresh cheese. You guys saw what I did. But oh my goodness, look at that. Homemade cheese in the Thermomix. It's soft, it's luscious, it's creamy. The nuts give it a really nice little crunch, obviously, but give that a go. Have a go with the way making soda bread, normal bread, muffins, scones, cakes, those sorts of things can be used with that, but I'd highly suggest giving this a go. And look at how much it made. Like, that's a huge amount of food, a huge amount of cheese. Like, that'll last us as a family of 6 for some time. I mean, admittedly, we don't eat a huge amount of dairy, but wow, so impressed. So give this recipe a go. I want to hear your questions along the way. I want to support you to get the most out of your Thermomix. And yeah, 10 out of 10 for walnut fresh cheese and whey soda bread. minus the soda bread. But guys, if I can help in any way, do reach out. I love to support you. Cook the food, share it with your friends and family, and then when they're curious about a Thermomix, I'd love to support them to get one on the bench. But otherwise, can't wait to show you some more cooking in our next video. So please do subscribe, like, and come along for the ride as I show you real food from my home to yours to help you get more out of your Thermomix. But otherwise, thanks for watching today, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.